and has a lot going on. But I just ended up getting her the, what is it, Compassion Companion? Or
Companion Cannabis.
Companion Cannabis. I got that for her just last night. And,
it's one drop for every 10 pounds.
Right. Unless I'm giving it to her, then it's 3 drops for every 10 pounds.
Wow, there you go.
No.
Did you give it to her yet?
I did. She slept well last night.
Oh, well, let's hope that she is going to do a lot better with that, because I've seen great results with companion cannabis. You don't have to give them the pharmaceuticals. And so there you go. Yeah. You're pro-cannabis really for even pets, too.
I'm really excited to see, what kind of difference it'll make either in her pain level or her being able to sleep, or even sometimes holding down milk, because, like I said, she's really old and she's sick, so.
Well, let's hope that this works. And we're out of time, so I'm so bummed because I could talk to you for another 3 hours and maybe.
I know, it was great. Can I shamelessly plug then?
Absolutely.
Follow me at David Faustino. That's me across the board on all social media, just at David Faustino. And then, of course, I'm doing How to Train Your Dragon, which is on Netflix now. 3rd season just dropped. It's actually a really cool show. I play Dagger, so check that out. And then, of course, Old Scratch Radio Hour every Sunday night on Dash Radio.
Love that. Well, thank you so much, David. You guys, I want to thank my producer, Brasco, for making this all happen. Join us next week for another episode of Cannabis Confidential with Dr. Dina. Thank you so much. Bye, David. You're awesome.
Thanks, Dina. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
The opinions expressed on this CannabisRadio.com program are those of the guests and hosts and do not necessarily reflect those of the staff and management of CannabisRadio.com. Any rebroadcast or redistribution without proper consent of CannabisRadio.com is prohibited. Legal to listen to all over the world. We're just not sure about France. CannabisRadio.com.
Ignite the conversation on some trending topics along the Cannabis Radio social media network. Join our crew of thousands on our Cannabis Radio page on Facebook or at Canna Radio, CANNA Radio on Twitter. Plus, look for our Facebook and Google Plus pages for all of our original programs and connect with Dr. Dina, Kyle Cushman, Dr. Mitch Earlywine, Nurse Heather, Doc Rob, the host of Ganjapreneur, and more. Connect with the growing Cannabis Radio social crusade at Canna Radio on Twitter or search for Cannabis Radio on Facebook, Google Plus, and Instagram and grow with us.
Forwarding the cause of legalization and research of the growing cannabis industry, one podcast at a time. The Cannabis Radio Network.
BBC News with Jonathan Izard. The British Prime Minister David Cameron has said that he had to put the security of British citizens first in deciding to suspend flights to and from the Egyptian resort of Sharm el-Sheikh. Standing beside the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi after talks in London, Mr Cameron said the two countries were cooperating on security issues after a Russian airliner went down over Egypt on Saturday, killing everyone on board. Figures released by the European Union reveal that officials are assuming that up to 3 million migrants may arrive in the EU by the end of 2017. In a separate report, the UN Refugee Agency said it expected people to continue arriving in Greece from Turkey at a rate of 5,000 a day. Mafia bosses, politicians and businessmen have appeared in court in Rome at the start of Italy's biggest anti-corruption trial for decades. They're accused of rigging contracts for public services over many years, actions that have brought the Italian capital's finances close to the point of collapse. France is to send its largest warship, the aircraft carrier Charles de Gaulle, to support operations against Islamic State militants and other jihadists in Syria. The French President's office says the vessel would shorten the time it takes French jets to carry out airstrikes. The charity Médecins Sans Frontières says its staff saw people being shot from the air as they tried to flee a hospital in Afghanistan that was hit by US airstrikes a month ago. In a review of the incident in Kunduz, MSF said its own personnel were hit while trying to reach safety. International and local human rights groups have called on the Angolan government to release 15 activists who have been in detention since June. They've been accused of preparing acts of rebellion and plotting against the president. One of India's most wanted men has been deported from Indonesia. Rajendra Sadashiv Nikalje, also known in India as Little Rajan, was detained in Bali 10 days ago. His arrest came after a tip-off from the authorities in Australia. BBC News.
Ganjapreneur.com, your guide to the cannabis business world. Ganjapreneur.com is a comprehensive resource for cannabis professionals and entrepreneurs. Download the Ganjapreneur app on your smartphone or tablet to catch up on cannabis industry news, scroll through our daily job listings, and learn about successful cannabis companies, executives, and investors. Ganjapreneur.com, helping ganjapreneurs grow.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. The Kremlin has rejected Britain's suggestion a bomb is likely to have caused last weekend's Russian plane crash in Egypt. A spokesman for President Putin says any theories as to what caused the crash are just speculation at this stage. Lorna Shaddick reports from Moscow.
The Russian president's spokesman told reporters on Thursday that Moscow isn't ruling out any theories about the crash at the moment. But there are no grounds, he said, to name its definitive cause yet. And the Kremlin will wait for the official investigators on the ground to make their decision. Dmitry Peskov added that Russia hopes that any new information about the cause of the crash will be handed to the investigators on the ground. And he said Britain's suspension of flights to and from Sharm el-Sheikh, from where the plane took off, is its sovereign decision, but Russian planes will continue to fly to and from the resort. Meanwhile, Russia's military has said it's sending missile defense systems to its air force in Syria to prevent, it said, the possibility of Russian aircraft operating there from being hijacked or shot at. It's not clear if there's any link to Britain's latest announcement. Lorna Shaddick, Moscow.
Meanwhile, British Prime Minister David Cameron and Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi have been holding talks at Downing Street. On the agenda, security measures after the UK's halting of flights between Sharm el-Sheikh and Britain. Dan Whitehead has more from Downing Street.
As the two leaders meet behind closed doors here at 10 Downing Street, at the end of Downing Street, there's a mass of protesters, hundreds in favour of President Sisi's visit, supporters of the leader, also hundreds against this visit by President Sisi. This was always going to be a controversial visit, made more so, of course, by the huge security challenges now being faced between the two countries after that Russian airliner was brought down. The British Prime Minister David Cameron has said that it will be some time before all UK tourists who are stranded in Sharm el-Sheikh will be returned to the UK, adding that it was increasingly likely that a terrorist bomb was behind the downing of that Russian airliner, leading to more than 200 deaths. Those will be the top topics being discussed behind number 10 Downing Street between David Cameron and President Sisi. Dan Whitehead on Downing Street.
France international footballer Karim Benzema has been placed under formal investigation over a sex tape blackmail plot which involves another footballer. The striker, who plays for Real Madrid at club level, appeared before a judge in Versailles after being held in custody. Police are looking into what part he may have played in an alleged attempt to extort money from the fellow French international Mathieu Valbuena. In Myanmar, the opposition leader Aung San Suu Kyi says she would be above the president if her National League for Democracy wins the election on Sunday. The elections in the country will be Myanmar's first openly contested polls in 25 years. For more from us, you can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/featurestorynews. From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN. US Defense Secretary Ash Carter has visited an aircraft carrier currently travelling in the disputed South China Sea. This comes just over a week after a US missile destroyer came within 12 nautical miles of China's man-made islands in the Spratly archipelago. William Denslow reports.
Aboard the USS Theodore Roosevelt, Ash Carter said the US had had a stabilising presence in the region and that tension was rising in the South China Sea over territorial claims. This visit comes just a few days after the US Navy sent the USS Lassen within 12 nautical miles of artificial islands built by China in the Spratly archipelago. The move angered Beijing, with Chinese Navy officials urging the US to stop its provocative acts, warning that minor incidents could spark war in the South China Sea. Over $5 trillion worth of trade passes through this area each year, and the US has maintained that the free flow of commerce is critical.
The European Union's released its autumn 2015 economic forecasts, showing continued expected overall growth despite tricky economic times. Greece and Spain see particularly gloomy predictions, as Kevin Ozebek reports from Brussels.
Moderate recovery despite challenges. That's the tagline for the autumn 2015 European economic forecast. The overall EU GDP is predicted to grow by 1.6% in 2015 and 1.8% in 2016. There are still major concerns in the member states, however. Spain's deficit is predicted to grow more than in previous forecasts. That could be a major factor in Spanish elections coming in December. Greece is heading back into recession after the crisis which almost saw the country leave the single currency euro in June. Germany, the EU's largest economy, is expecting continued growth and says there has been a so-called soft landing following the Chinese market disruption of recent months.
That's the latest feature story news. Ollie Barrett reporting.
We have your smoking section right here. This is the Cannabis Radio Network.
From the Sky News Centre at 6, some of the thousands of British tourists stranded in Egypt's Sharm el-Sheikh could be flown home from tomorrow. UK flights are suspended over concerns a bomb caused a Russian plane to crash. Egypt's president says security checks made at the airport 10 months ago were found to be satisfactory. But tourist Del Parkin claims an official approached him there earlier this year asking for a £20 bribe.
He took us right through security, avoided all the queues, even grabbed my suitcase and took it, and we then sat in front of the gate waiting for the plane to take off.
Inspectors claim the only high-security jail in Northern Ireland is unsafe, unstable and in crisis. Rising levels of violence and credible threats were reported by inmates and staff at HMP Magarbry. The trial of radio DJ Neil Fox has heard he exploited his fame to sexually abuse fans as young as 14, as well as colleagues. The 54-year-old denies 8 counts of indecent assault and 2 of sexual assault between 1988 and last year. A police force has sparked controversy by saying speed cameras on the busiest part of the M1 motorway could be switched on permanently to make money. The plans would catch anyone breaking the limit by just 1 mile an hour. But Bedfordshire's Police and Crime Commissioner says his force is running out of options to keep financially afloat in the face of major cuts. Not all drivers are convinced, though.
73 mile an hour, it's not really much, is it? It's 3 mile an hour over the limit.
A crime's a crime at the end of the day. The laws are there for a reason. So if you break the law, then you've got to pay the fine.
In sport, Chelsea boss Jose Mourinho has lost an appeal over a suspended stadium ban. It's a punishment for comments made about referees after his side's home defeat to Southampton last month. And Liverpool and Celtic are in Europa League action. Jurgen Klopp's side are away to Russian outfit Rubin Kazan in Group B. Celtic start the night bottom of their group as they host Norwegian side Molde. That's the latest. I'm Annie Joyce.
Hi, I'm Montel Williams. Most of you know me as a talk show host, but I'm also an author, actor, single father of 4, avid snowboarder, and I'm also a medical marijuana patient. Living with multiple sclerosis, I'm in pain every day. Medical marijuana is my last resort, and it helps me when all other drugs have failed. If you'd like more information about medical marijuana, you can contact the Marijuana Policy Project at mpp.org or call 1-877-JOIN-MPP.
Your connection to quality cannabis insurance services is spelled K-A-E-R-C-H-E-R. That's Karcher Insurance. We have worked with ventures like cannabis for over 60 years. We're proud to represent over 50 companies with tailor-made cannabis plans for owners just like you to insure your product, your plants, and your pursuits. K-A-E-R-C-H-E-R spells out their full-service insurance services ranging from commercial to bonds, to personal, from life to health, and more. Contact the team at KarcherInsurance.com and let our experience work for you. That's K-A-E-R-C-H-E-R Insurance.com.
Contact Karen and the team at Karcher Insurance at 1-844-421-3560. That's 844-421-3560. Every strain, every sale, every medical study. Keep it right here on the Cannabis Radio Network.
This is the USA Radio Business Report. I'm Russ Jones. Want someone or something to respond to an email for you? Well, correspondent Larry Olson reports Google has a new bot response for that.
The feature coming to Gmail's Inbox email app will automatically suggest 3 short replies for incoming messages based on the context of the message. It works by scanning the incoming emails, then using machine learning to formulate a natural language reply. Google says the more you